Hey everyone, this is Alexandra Van Horn with Live Well Long, and today we have Davina Ware, who is a career coach. She is a career transition coach, marketing professional, and founder of Upwardly Paved Path Career Coaching. She helps professionals get out of their own way. That's a good one, guys. To transition into careers of authority that will utilize their gifts and talents. Through the latest career transition principles, personal branding, and personal development, she leads her clients to find fulfillment in their next career move. She's no stranger to career transitions as she has worked with higher education, telecommunications, nonprofit, and healthcare industries. In the past 15 years, Davina has learned the keys that hiring managers value in prospective candidates and what makes a successful employee in any field. So let's welcome Davina. Hey, Davina, how are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. And I noticed today we both have our pink on, which I love.
Do.
We're in separate worlds as far as our professions, but yay, we love that color pink.
Yes, exactly right.
Oh. So tell me a little bit about, first of all, you're based in Chicago at the moment, right?
Yes,
That's
yes.
great. But in our digital age, you can work with clients pretty much
Anywhere.
anywhere. That's
Yep.
great. Yes, yes, yes. And I know we've talked a little bit about walking in your purpose. Tell
Yes.
me more about why it's critical for folks to get into their purpose to, to make it work.
Everything depends on it. Everything flows from being in your purpose. You are here for a reason. It's not happenstance. It wasn't random. It wasn't a surprise. You are here on this earth at this time. There's something for you to do. There's people for you to serve. You have gifts and talents that weren't meant to be hidden, that weren't meant to just be a hobby, but it was meant for you to use them. And I find that when people are disconnected from that because they're doing what they're supposed to do, what they were told to do, what keeps them in their comfort zone, there's always a sense that something is missing. There's always a sense of frustration that comes with that. So it's just better to get in a place where you utilize everything you have. We often look outside of ourselves to get answers or to figure out the next step, or we hop on trends in order to be a part of what's going on. But really, we're equipped today, right now, with the tools we have to create an awesome life for ourselves and to make the world a little bit better. Like it's
Mm,
inside of us. We're already built with it. Of course, you train it, you sharpen it, you spend some time with it, you hone your craft, but the toolbox is in here already.
So it's basically a case of discovering it, not really like making it up. It's like those urges
That's
within
right.
them. They already like, somebody who has to paint or draw or create music or speak or act or any of that.
Yes,
Got it.
exactly right.
Got it. Beautiful,
Look
beautiful.
inside for your answers and for your energy, for your everything. You just got to pull it out and put
Right,
it out and
right,
into the earth.
right. Beautiful, beautiful. So tell me, like, what are some of the challenges that you have found with people that, they say, well, I don't know what my purpose is or something like that? You have a way of helping them discover it? Like,
Yeah. I think the biggest one is the comfort zone.
mhm,
It's the killer of dreams,
yeah, yeah,
really. But when we're so comfortable with the status quo, anything outside of that can feel really scary.
yeah.
And rightfully so, because you have no idea how this is going to turn out. When you're moving from something that's proven, that's known, you know exactly how things are going to flow,
Right.
and you switch to something that a pool you've never swam in before, it can be a
Mhm,
shock to your system. But it can be a really great shock to your system because it
right,
opens up your mind, right?
right.
It does a paradigm shift for you to see things differently, for new solutions to come
Mhm,
to you, for ideas to start flowing because you've stepped into this new space. So I find when people are comfortable with the status quo, and when I say comfortable, they're not happy in it. It's just easier to deal with. That's one of the
right.
biggest challenges that I
Yeah.
see with people doing that.
Right.
And how I help people to overcome it is really tapping into their subconscious. So I ask questions and I reflect back to them things that they wouldn't normally see or be able to ask themselves. So
Mhm.
it's doing a bit of that paradigm shifting before we take the action of
Mhm.
paradigm shifting, which would be trying something different, or if you're moving to a different place, going to a different job. Uh,
Mhm.
if you're an introvert, doing activities where you have to talk to more people. Those are the actionable
Right.
part of paradigm shifting. So I'm helping people to mentally do a paradigm shift through their subconscious for them to see
Mhm.
themselves in a different light.
Got it. So in other words, even before they do, say, public speaking, you have them standing on a stage in their mind with people applauding or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Great.
Create the
Excellent.
visual, which
Right.
even with that, they got to sit with that for a minute. So it's not a rushed process, right?
Mhm.
It really, when you start to open up and discover this part of yourself, it's almost like life slows down just a little bit because you've got
Right.
to weed through and navigate this new territory, this new jungle, and you can get
Yeah.
lost in it in a good way. In a
Right.
good way.
Right.
You find a new way to play, so to speak, in this area that you've just opened up. But you open it like little bit by little bit. You don't just send a floodgate because that can be overwhelming for
Right.
people. You're like, whoa,
Right.
what? Yeah.
Wow, too much growth at one time. No
Too much
thanks. Right.
growth, too much growth.
Right, right. I hear you. But it's true about our subconscious. Our subconscious is running the show. And unless we actively do something about it, we keep getting the results we've always gotten. So that
Exactly.
paradigm shifting is huge. Is huge.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, so once someone say discovers their purpose and they start exploring, say, the paradigm shifting as they're maybe trying to discover their purpose, what are some of the limiting things that like smack up against them? What are the things that are working against them?
Definitely negative self-talk and
Mm,
negative thinking patterns.
yeah.
So one, for example, is all or nothing thinking.
Mm,
If I don't do this in 3 months, I'm never going to get there. It's never going to happen for me. I might as well not even attempt to achieve
right. Mm,
or catastrophize to make something a catastrophe, right?
right, right.
So let's say you made a mistake
Yeah.
or you got a rejection,
Hmm.
then it's like, oh my gosh, this happened to me. I can't believe that we
Right,
put more emphasis on it than it needs to be. Some things
right,
are just facts.
right.
This didn't happen the way we wanted, or you pressed button A and maybe you could have pressed button B. So I help people to get to the place where we just identify the very baseline of what's going on before we put building blocks of trauma and emotion and all. Let's just bring it down here. This is what happened, A,
Yeah.
B, or C.
Right,
Um, Black or white thinking, either it's this way or it's that way.
right,
There's no gray. Everything
right.
is gray. I
Yeah.
was taking a walk the other day and I was just appreciating the colors on my
Hmm.
walk. The
Right,
green of the grass, the brown in the dirt, the blue in the sky. We
right,
literally don't live in gray, but
right.
our minds, is part of being in that comfort zone, creates black and white for us.
Yeah, yeah.
But we've got to get out here and be in this kind of open space. So gray meaning it could be this, it could be that, but we live in a world of color. Can you
Right,
imagine if you walked outside and everything was green? The
right.
street was
Well,
green, not just the leaves are green, but the tree bark
boring,
is
right?
green.
Right.
Right? Every single car you see is green.
Oh
We'd
God.
be missing things.
Right.
So
Everything would
that
blend in. Everything would blend
it's just
in.
the blending of
Right.
green,
Right.
right? Just
Right.
like when we visit different countries and we experience different food, we
Yeah.
experience a different culture and music and way
Mm,
of life. Everyone who comes back from those experiences say, oh, wow, that changed me or it
yeah.
opened me up. It's the same
Oh
thing
yeah.
when it comes to purpose. So we're
Right.
walking in a neighborhood of just green,
Right.
then we missed it. And so I think that's part of what keeps people stuck is
Hmm.
wanting to stay in black and white. It's this or that. There's no gray area,
Right,
which
right.
in
Or
our sense,
catastrophizing in the sense like it's something, oh, this always happens to me. No, it was just that one event.
just this one
This
time.
now, it's just this one time. Next time
And
it'll
it's
be
not that
different.
bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So is the emotion part of it. And I
Right.
don't dismiss them. I'm an empathic person. As someone told me a
Yeah,
couple
that's
years
good.
ago, you feel all day long. I'm like, well, yeah, don't you? Doesn't everybody?
Right.
That's before
No, yeah, I
that's right.
know.
That's before I understood what that meant to
And-
be an empath. So I don't throw that away because it's
Right,
important. Like I said, I can't help but to feel. I feel other people. I just feel things. But maturity and growth to help support your journey on your purpose is to get a hold of that
right.
and say, okay, my emotion is this, but the reality is this. So
Right.
my emotion is an indicator of something. I don't throw it away, but it could be, all right, well, let me tame this thing, right? Emotions are transporters. They can take you back to that memory that where that one thing happened that one time and threw off everything.
Right,
Or it's
right,
like, okay, I feel this, great. But what do I need to do? We don't have to
right,
carry it. We don't have to build a sandwich with it for it to all
right.
go
Or let our
together.
emotions run the show. We can
Yeah,
compartmentalize it and say, okay, you know,
right. I feel this. It's okay
yeah,
for me to feel sad. It's okay for me to feel disappointed. Okay, I'm going to
yeah,
acknowledge that, but I'm still going to move forward.
yeah, yeah,
And I find
absolutely.
that's the best medicine. Otherwise,
Right,
as you say, when we let our emotions run the show, it will continue to run the show. It will continue to drive the car and it will drive you to places
right.
that were not on your map to even go to.
Yeah.
And now you've got to go through things or even therapy to
Mhm,
go back to the starting point because your
mhm.
emotions have taken you on this ride that it
Right,
was unnecessary for you to go on. So that
right.
part of it is a really big obstacle in people being able to discover and go through this process.
Yeah. One of the things that I've discovered in my life coaching practice is, which is transformational life coaching, which is something else I do besides podcasting, um, and is breathing. When one notices they're in some type of fight or flight mode, or they're tensing, or they're thinking about whatever it is that's making them uncomfortable, is a breathing technique, just breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth like you're blowing through a straw. And just do that a few times, like nothing restrictive or anything, but do it a few times and it changes our neurological state. And then
Yeah,
switch to a positive thought, like, well, I am a person, I am a woman who, can accomplish things, can grow, can
right.
whatever it is, that would be the positive thing compared to where you're emotionalizing about now, which really it makes a difference. I'm sure you've got wonderful techniques that you help people with.
And that's one of them though, and one
Mhm,
that I have to use where something
mhm.
happens. And but here's what's great about that: you get in a habit to where your emotions don't go as high
Yes,
with
right.
things, and
You
then you look
notice
back
it.
and you're like, oh, I'm handling this better. I
Right,
can move past this a little bit quicker. So that it's exciting to get to that place just
right.
by
Yes.
doing techniques like I just need to stop and breathe,
Mhm.
or I just get to a place where I'm quiet. And if the wind is blowing, I just listen to the wind and I make it
Oh,
very
nice.
intentional that I'm
Right,
putting my intention on that. Or I might
right,
just take a walk, but you've got to shift something, however,
right.
whatever is going to hit you the most. Sometimes I just put on my favorite, song and dance around
Mhm.
my house, but something has shifted
Right.
as a result. And then you're like, okay, now
Yeah.
I can move forward. It's almost like an exhale. I try to divert people from, oh, just go get your favorite ice cream, right? Go
All
get your
right.
favorite
Yeah. That
cookie.
could have a negative aspect, right?
Exactly. And I'm saying
Chocolate.
that because I am that person where I'm like, I've just had a rough day. Let me just go get my favorite bag of chips. Or there's a
Right.
place by me called Twisted Cookie. Oh my gosh.
Good
The
stuff, huh?
things they do to pastries and desserts is mind numbing.
Wow.
But
Wow.
right, so it's easy to just get that relief.
Right,
But
right.
that's, I
What
mean,
do
it's
they
doing
call it?
something.
Food
Yeah,
therapy or treat therapy or something,
right.
right?
For your endorphins. But afterwards, I'm like, wow, I just ate that a whole dipped brownie. Great. So now I've just, thrown off my my diet goals. But if I'm
Right, right,
breathing and bringing new oxygen into my brain, there's a
new
win-win. There's no
ideas.
consequence for that.
Right, and new ideas can come. Yep, yep, yep. It's all retraining our minds, retraining our subconscious, right? Awesome, awesome. So we know we talked earlier about our inner circle. Can you talk more about that? Like help people understand what they need to do when it comes
Oh
to
my
our inner
goodness.
circle?
This is so important. It's so, so, so important. I think it's aside from how you can stop yourself from reaching your goals,
Mhm,
this would be the second most important thing that could
mhm.
stop. So what's the old saying of birds of a feather flock
Yeah,
together? Or, well, from a biblical sense, how can two walk together unless they agree?
right.
So you have to get around the right people who you're walking together, you're journeying together, you're doing life.
Mhm,
Honestly, this year, I've had so many friends who have fallen away.
uh,
Um, and it's not an easy process.
right.
It's painful because in these situations, these people, we've been friends for over 15 years. And I'm not that old, so
Well, yeah,
that's a huge chunk of my life. There is a grieving process, a mourning process, but again, when you're on purpose, you don't really have time to sit and mourn and grieve. You get out your frustration, but then you move because you've
yeah,
got work to do, or you've just been inspired by something. So
right.
so you're working on that thing. And again, as you're journeying, you'll look up and the sting won't be as bad. But
Mhm,
uh, not that your friend circle has to be doing the same thing you're doing, but especially from a mental, emotional, spiritual level,
right,
you should be kind of moving in the same direction, because
right,
there'll be days where you'll be tired or you'll feel discouraged, you'll doubt. And when you're around people who aren't going to feed the fuel of the fire that you need at that moment, they're just going to continue to snuff it out.
right.
So if you're already snuffing it out and you have someone else who is not up to that maturity level, or in some cases misery loves company, and they
Mhm,
want to keep you where they met you, because it's not going to be a reminder for them of how much further you're going. So
right.
they'll help to snuff out your light
Yeah, it
and your
threatens their
purpose.
comfort zone when
That's
they know
right.
they can't rely on you to be that same frequency that they were accustomed to
Exactly.
before, say. Yeah,
Right. Or
yeah.
having these low frequency conversations
Hmm.
where it's not going anywhere. You're not building each other up. You're
Right,
not brainstorming. You're not putting anything positive out there. You're just commiserating
right,
together.
right,
That's as doing nothing but now not just keeping you in your comfort zone. It's like putting a whole lock box system
yes.
over it. And so you stay in this area. Or people who, when you're in this space, you need a lot of grace.
Hmm.
It's new, it's scary, it's
Right.
a lot of things, right? So you need people who are going to give you room to
Hmm.
mess up, to
Yeah,
give you room to stumble, to be a shoulder to cry on in this new
right.
thing, who isn't going to ridicule you for that,
Hmm.
who's not
Right,
going to talk you out of your ideas,
right,
who is going to really pour some love into you.
right.
And I'm realizing, quite honestly, that's not the majority of people.
Correct,
Most
correct.
people don't have that kind of capacity to hold space for you as you transition and grow. Because honestly, they're not
Exactly.
holding it for themselves. They're just
Right.
kind of going about life, and they've made peace with their comfort zone or
Hmm.
their purpose. They don't have that fire like you do
Right.
to be the
Or they just have a different dream, whatever it is. Maybe their dream is to just keep the status quo for
right,
them, right?
right,
I
right.
think about this parable I've told when I was in ministry. You may have heard it, and it's actually supposedly a true thing. When if you go crabbing and catch crabs, and you put them all in a pot, if there's no lid on the pot and one of them starts to get out, this is what I'm told. I've never tried it, even though I did go crabbing years ago, but it was before I heard this parable,
Okay.
this story. The other crabs in the pot will pull that crab back. So you can kind of view your friends that way. Wait a minute, we're familiar with you. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, we're
Don't
in this new
change.
space. No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stay in our
crabs in a
space.
barrel,
Yeah,
pulling people down. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's important and it's not easy. It isn't. Yeah,
It's not, but it's necessary.
right,
It's the road less traveled,
right.
which when people say can be lonely, I would argue to say it's temporarily lonely,
Yes,
because once you shed some of these older relationships um, that aren't life-giving,
right.
as you expand this new role,
Hmm.
new relationships will, and they will feel refreshing to
Exactly.
you. They'll
Right.
be more mature. So there's no time for the silly chatter. There's no time to be
Right.
pulling each other down. It's like, hey, what are you discovering right now?
Right.
These are the kinds of conversations I have with people. What are you learning? What have you
That's
experienced?
great.
Where are you
Yeah.
growing right now? And then it's
Right.
just, 6 hours later, here we are, closing down the coffee shop because we're sharing all these great ideas. And
That's beautiful.
it's a watering kind of friendship and relationship. So
Hmm.
especially when it comes to your purpose, you need that. You need the
Yeah.
watering, because there'll be times where you pour out and you need to be filled up, and then vice versa. And it becomes a very healthy ecosystem
Right.
in your
Right.
friendships and in your relationships. So
Yeah,
that's part
absolutely.
of it. No
Yeah.
matter what, there's somebody that's gonna fall off who just can't go with you.
Right. And then also, I think too, as we grow, there's also this element of a guilt feeling like, well, I've always been there for them. And then suddenly you realize, well, I don't want to do that. One of the workshops I did years ago, they referred to it as trauma sharing. Like
Oh
people
yeah.
mutually like, oh, I tell you my story. You know what happened to me?
Right now, the a person has to like overdo it.
Right. And
Right.
it's like, so you're, partners in trauma sharing. And it's like, then you have to realize, like, wow, this is not where I want to go anymore, but they're, expecting me to be their trauma sharer. And
Right.
it's a certain amount of like letting go, forgiving oneself to let go of the
Yeah,
relationships that are lower level, lower energy, lower vibration,
there you
for
go.
ones that are uplifting. Mary Morrissey refers to it as being on our green growing edge. Being on our green
Okay.
growing edge, moving forward, moving forward. And also it refers to the ones. She's been my mentor for a while now. Since last year, I started taking her coaching course. It's wonderful, and but being on our green growing edge, where we're always moving forward to
Right.
that thing that what
Right.
our dream, our vision. And she refers to the people, the new quote unquote friends are as partners in believing, which is nice. Like
Yeah.
we need those partners
Yes.
in believing. And
Yeah.
so sometimes like if people wonder like, how do I find that? How do I create it? Even if we just set an intention and like, okay, I need, whether people say, God, universe, infinite intelligence, whatever they believe is breathing them. I want, guide me to more partners in believing so that I can keep moving forward on my green growing edge and toward my vision that is my life's expression,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
purpose. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it'll happen organically
Yes.
as long as you stay on your own track. You'll look up and you'll be at a conference.
Yes.
One of my best friends now, I met her about 4 years ago on a retreat.
Hmm.
And we talk 4 or 5 times a week, but we like do life together now. So
Nice.
even
Nice.
though these other people have fallen away, our friendship has grown,
Right.
and
And you
it's
have
been
space
great.
in your life for it now. Like I've often thought like, well, what if we really tried to keep all our friends around us all the time? We'd never be able to manage those relationships. It'd be too much.
No,
So we have to,
no,
it has to be fluid. It has to be fluid.
right, right. And you'd never get
Yeah.
anything done because you'll be too busy hanging out and chit-chatting with people.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So do you have, so I know we talked earlier about your website and a free gift you have for listeners. What would you like to share about that?
So my website, my business is called Upwardly Paved Path, and the name is very intentional because I believe when we're moving, we should always be moving upward, and it's a path that we pave. It doesn't
Mm.
happen organically. If we want to be successful, if we want to really operate in our purpose, if we want to experience bliss, we're not going to wake up 10 years from now and be like, oh, well, I'm here. So that's the name, Upwardly Paved
I like that. I like
Path.com.
that.
And on
Mhm.
the homepage on the website, for those who are like, I've got to switch careers, I've outgrown this, or there's some things shifting that are my gifts don't work here anymore. It's a 90 days to quit checklist. So
Nice.
yes, not 90 days, it's just a to quit checklist. I have a 90-day coaching program.
Oh,
It's
okay.
called the 90-day career fix. So,
Okay.
but there's a free checklist. If you're like, I probably need to get ready to move and transition. So on the
Mhm.
homepage, it'll pop up there for you.
And it's
And there's
called
lots
the
of
quit.
information, blogs
Okay,
on
great.
personal development, on spiritual development, lots of career transition blogs,
Oh,
YouTube channel.
beautiful.
One video I did a couple months ago, which is really good for people in this space, is what to
Mhm.
do in the waiting room. Because we have to wait sometimes, even on this
Yeah,
journey of purpose, you will
right,
have to wait. So what do you do so that you don't drive yourself bonkers and talk
right,
yourself out of your purpose?
right.
So that's you can find that on the website too.
All right, beautiful. I'm going to take a look at it.
Sounds
Excellent,
good.
excellent. And so if they want to reach out to you in any way, I'm sure they can contact you through the information on your website as well. Right?
Yes. And I'm
Awesome.
at
Awesome.
Upwardly Paved Path on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And all of that's on my website. And if you
Great.
have questions, you can email me at info@upwardlypavedpath.com.
Awesome. Beautiful. I love the name Upwardly Paved Path. Beautiful. And if you wanted to give somebody just a one-liner for life, is there one mantra that just calls to your heart at the moment? Doesn't have to be your permanent one forever, but is there
Yeah.
something you'd like to share with people that can be positive for them?
Yes. And
Okay.
it's the one that I'm going through right now, which
Okay.
is be unapologetically authentic.
I like it. Be
It's easy to,
unapologetically
yeah,
authentic.
just be
That's good.
super authentic and respectful, of course, but
Right.
it's easy to want to fit in, to not want to ruffle any feathers, especially if you've been in places where you've lost friends or anything like that. You're like, oh, this doesn't
Yeah.
feel good. It doesn't matter. What matters is you being unapologetically authentic to
Mhm.
yourself, because
Right.
there's joy in that. So
Yes.
even if people don't accept it, it's fine. I'm being unapologetically authentic and I feel good about that. So these all
Right.
the other things just don't matter as much. I've
Right.
learned.
And that's beautiful because I think when you're doing that, you're just letting your energy shine, your light shine,
Exactly.
because it's who you are. You're not afraid of letting your light shine, being
Exactly.
who
And
you
that's
are.
quirks and all,
Right.
things we need to work on and all. And if you find that people are rubbed by that the wrong way, then it's totally their problem. How can you be mad at the light unless it's shining something in you that you don't want to deal with? So I'm like, I'll stay here in the joy zone. And if you don't like joy, then I can't do anything about
I
that. And
can't
it
help
says
you with
more about you.
that.
I can't help you with that. Can I help you with that at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. Awesome. Well, this has been awesome. Upwardlypavedpath.com. And you can find the quit checklist and the 90-day career fix
Yes.
and info at upwardlypavedpath.com to reach out to Davina directly. Awesome. You have an awesome day and
You
we'll
too.
we'll talk again soon.
That's good. Thank you.